I've got my little collection here of Masters of the Universe from 2002, the kind of reboot show. I'm just going to kind of go over each figure, what I like and don't like, kind of about the figure and the redesign and stuff like that. And if you're not interested in that, I suggest you go to the end of the video here and then find that end screen where I'm going to talk about my story of just my interest from a young age in Masters of the Universe and kind of just tell my story. So at the very least, I'd go see that video, or it'll be after this, after we go through all these. Highly recommend that little story. So they did a new cartoon in 2002 of He-Man, and kind of my basic story. I missed getting Masters of the Universe figures when it was popular. I was kind of past the age for it. So when these came out, I was like, man, I can get He-Man figures that almost look like the old show, because a lot of the design and stuff is very similar to the original cartoon and things, and I never got to have figures of that. Of course, here's the He-Man, and he has the shield that's very much like the original, but more design going on. Has an axe like the original figure. Obviously a lot more going on. It's huge. Also, I think oversized weapons is kind of some of the theme of the show. And he has some, more muted colors for some of his accessories and things. Doesn't have like the gold armbands and things like that, which is weird because they had gold in the middle here. But the biggest redesign deal was the sword, that it didn't look like the original sword, and that's because it kind of did this, like, the sword kind of did its own transformation when he would change, from Prince Adam's smaller sword, and then all this would come out, the bigger, when he would turn into He-Man. I always wanted to find the Prince Adam of this show, but never did find that. But otherwise, other than his kind of hunched appearance, it's a pretty good He-Man figure. I just, mostly was using these to represent He-Man in general, not the show, because I didn't watch the show a whole lot when it was on. Only, some of the first episodes and things, and then once I started delving into the snake thing and all that, I just gave up that. But most of these figures I just bought when they were brand new in stores, the very first, because they came with those VHS tapes of episodes of the old show and stuff, so. Anyway, the He-Man's pretty nice, other than, they went serious with some of the muted colors and things. And then the sword's kind of the big deal. You might just want to display it with the axe and shield, but in the show, he's using the sword more. So Skeletor. Again, some of these have this action, and that's one of the things I'm not a huge fan of, but that is sort of a reference to the older figures. A lot of them do have to hold their weapons and things, and that's handy and all that, but the staff's kind of cool with the extra detail of the horns and the skull onto the staff. The sword I really liked in the show and the toy, that it's kind of a reference to the old He-Man figures, with Skeletor had the purple version of the power sword, and He-Man had his silver version, and then they would lock together. So here he has his sword that splits apart, and it's just kind of a reference to that, but then he can kind of dual wield his sword. It's just kind of interesting that it comes together. And that was definitely one of my favorite accessories, is this sword. Just is a really cool design for a sword, and then that he can take it apart and have two swords. It was like the reference to the old toy, and just the function as a sword is a really cool idea. What I really don't like about this Skeletor figure is this weird hood, that the hood comes down here. Like a hood, it wouldn't have under your chin. I don't understand what's going on here exactly. It's very strange. This is like a different head accessory. It's not a hood. It just makes him look weird to me. It shouldn't have this part. You should be able to see his neck and mouth here. So his face always looked weird in this because it was surrounded instead of. That always bugged me. His body, everything looks pretty cool about, the added armor pieces, and his colors match a lot better. But that hood thing always bugged me. I mean, especially how amazingly detailed and awesome his skull face is. These figures have like all these cloth and things, pieces that you could be taking off. Like, these would be very expensive nowadays, I think, because the function, they have pretty amazing paint, like you can see in the skull, and those pieces, and they always have an abundance of accessories, multiple weapons. Pretty interesting. Man-at-Arms here. Again, has a function. Swing the club. This is a missile launcher also. And I think a lot of his armor is removable. At least this piece could unhook, so you can see his face more. Definitely covers his face a lot. Should come off. There we go. Yeah. But then he has he has a super tall neck just to compensate the armor, so it looks a little strange there. But so again, I like the design. He had the mustache. The original figure didn't even have a mustache to match the show, so improvement there, and just kind of the same basic design and colors, so not a lot to complain about. Definitely represents Man-at-Arms pretty well. I mean, the added weapon, you know, you don't need that per se, but he always had this kind of weird mace club thing, and just kind of a souped up version of Man-at-Arms, so I didn't really have too many complaints on this one, other than, again, it has that function that makes it hard to pose sometimes, but good one. Another one that's very similar, Trap Jaw, obviously with the oversized weapon arm. He doesn't have any function thing. He does have his like ring in his head that you can do the cheesy string bit where he flies in with the original one suggested you do. He has little things on his belt to have the extra weapons like the hook he would use, and claw that does have we can move and pose that way. This is just the gun. And the one doesn't shoot anything, but that's just it doesn't seem to have a hook to put on his belt, so that's supposed to be the one you keep on, but you can switch if you're playing around that he can have the others. The only thing that was weird is his belt thing is just so loose. I wish it was kind of tighter on there, but it's very chipped around. I like kind of his extra damage and things, that he's kind of a Frankenstein, and then his mouth does move like that, so that's a bonus there too. So any character that really kept their design I really like. So he had his, you know, blue, red, green kind of combo colors there, although it does have kind of the realer, darker colors that, you know, a lot of them suffer from, actually, that they lose some of their interesting charm and things. But he was a good one to get there. I was excited to get that one. Tila, very interesting. Obviously they redesigned her, you know, hair and look and things more. Thing with these, they're kind of a little more than 5 points of articulation, because you kind of have some circular motion with the arms, but there's no joints in the arms, so I'm not going to get too fancy there. So kind of a nod to her original figure that has the snake staff. She didn't have that snake armor thing that comes on, but has the little shield that's a lot like the one she would always use in the old TV show, and of course this one. And her sword's really cool. Her sword almost reminds me of the original Power Sword in the original show, in a way, or maybe the She-Ra sword with the jewel in it. So I always really like this sword. Usually pose her with that more than the snake staff. She has a really nice appearance with her armor and stuff, and again, just looking at some of these and how much they would cost nowadays, even without the articulation, pretty interesting. But yeah, her costume pretty much stays true to the original more, although it's more skirt instead of just tights, as the boots and everything. Good stuff. An Evelyn's one I actually had to get on eBay a few years after I collected most of these. Never found her in the stores, but there's a freaking crazy murder knife. I don't know what that's about, but just an extra. There's her staff, although I guess mine got bent at some point, so that's about coming off. That's no good. But her costume is pretty true to the older show, and they've just kind of souped it up. I'm glad her skin isn't yellow or something. You know, she's just kind of a paler skin like in the show, so this is one I just kind of got because I was like, I really would like to. She's such a major character that I did seek that out just to finish this little group to round it out. There's a few others I've always am missing, like I never found Beast Man or Ram Man. That always bugged me, but Evelyn's one I did seek out on eBay in early eBay days, actually, just because that time period. But yeah, no complaints for her. She doesn't have any funky action or anything, just all good. Looks great. Just in that vein, I did get Manny Faces from eBay also, but he didn't have his accessory or anything, so just kind of a cheap pickup there. I just wanted to grab another character, so he had the Monster Face, Robot Face, and his regular. But no accessory for him, but I just was like, I just was looking around at the characters, and this was a cheap bid to get, so just added an extra character that way. Just kind of have the old flip attack kind of thing, but you don't have any weapon to wield to do it, so you can do a punch though. How about that? One of my favorites, Merman. Always liked his sword. This face is very much like the artwork on the back of the boxes. Not so much the actual figure, but the artwork. He has a weird kind of stabbing mechanism that doesn't work all that well. Supposed to kind of go, hey, hi-ya. Got a trident, which, you know, fits in pretty well. I just hate this piece, that it's kind of like the Trapjaw problem, that it's just like all over the place. Kind of sucks, but I always liked Merman's sword with the scales like that. Just such a cool idea. This is one of the ones I'd always look at the old figure picture and wish I had it, but so this is a cool one to get a hold of. And he has a pretty sweet costume and everything for, you know, a little bit change colors and things to make it, you know, more modern, but he's another one that stayed pretty true in design. Got old Stratos that was... He actually has elbow articulation for his because it's just a little strange with his mechanisms of... It's like that he has to hold these things for the flight, but it's like, well, where's his weapon? It's like, oh, he's got like a missile pack on the back, so you can shoot that. But the middle one is the flapping. This is the fire. Only one missile's real, the other missile is the button to shoot the other missile, but this is kind of his flight flapping. I don't know. Of course, that interferes with, being able to pose him and do things with him, so... But really stayed true to the design there. I mean, down to the colors and everything. Just more, a little more beastly and hairy looking and things with his textures, so... It is pretty cool looking, but I don't know about the weird jetpack handle things. When I thought he could just fly before in the old show. Load it up. How about triclops? Has a little window so the light can get in there and kind of light up his different eye options and things, which is always kind of cool. Always like the red. He has a really cool sword. It's probably like his original one. He's another one that kind of has a slice mechanism there. And then in the show, he always had this like drone thing, and so it has a little stand where he has his drone robot, which is probably a pretty cool accessory just because it's very much of the show. But another one where his uniform pretty much stayed the same, had the same colors, so... Did always like he was like the green dude. I like the look with the visor and stuff, the Cyclops thing. So good stuff. Other than the function, kind of makes it hard to pose. He's a good looking one there. Oh, I left poor Orco here. Comes with this huge like magic blast thingy that shoots a big old ball. Well, that went well. Oh yeah. Wow. There it goes. It's supposed to knock these things out of the way when it shoots, but I guess you gotta do a little more force there, but just kind of obnoxiously big, so I was like, not really the magic he's usually doing, but he has his wand. That's not really from the show. I like how they just designed him more that, he has like this cloth that's covering his face, is why he's covered, but it's almost weird that he has like a leg here, so they're implying he has legs, but he's always floating, because he's got this floaty stand. But it's kind of a cool design for him. I mean, he's a little bit bigger, and it's more of an actual, more than a t-shirt and a hat that's flying around. He's more substance and more detail in his costume, and his O is kind of like a necklace design. So that was a cool one to get there. And I didn't get to get the original Battle Cat with the red armor, so this is like one of the weird variants, like Samurai Battle Cat or something. But I think it was like a clearance aisle find I found like way later. So I was like, oh, hey, I'll have a Battle Cat, but he doesn't have the red armor like the original. It's like Samurai Battle Cat. There's a big missile launcher here. Of course, where is the launch? Doi. I think it's that. Oh, there we go. Claw at the top here. And then himself has a button here that kind of does a roar and a slash and a claw there. But just to get a Battle Cat, even though it was one of the weird, I never really liked the alternate versions of characters. Different colors and looks. I just wanted the ones that look like the show, not this, but yeah. You know what they say, that it was better than nothing. That's right! Meow. So that's a look at my 2002 collection. Obviously I don't have every character, but if you want to hear my pretty cool story of just my Masters of the Universe hunt and life from being a kid to now, it's definitely worth checking out, and then you can tell me your story of collecting Masters of the Universe toys and things also there. So definitely watch that next video. And thanks, and I'll see you there.